Hello everyone. Today I will present regarding our new migration book up application. We migrate to new technology and we
আচ্ছা
follow
আমরা
the.
সরি ইন্টারাপ্ট করার জন্য আমরা কি আজকে ইংরেজিতে করছি না বাংলায় করছি বোথ আর ফাইন কিন্তু যাতে করে হচ্ছে যে আমাদের মূল গোলটা হচ্ছে নলেজ শেয়ারিং সো যেটাতে আমরা আসলে বা ইভেন উই ক্যান ইউজ মিক্সড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অ্যাজ ওয়েল ওকে ওকে আই থিংক উই ক্যান স্টার্ট
Okay. So we migrate our application, that is book up application, which code base is more than 15 years old, and then we migrated this to latest technology. Previously, this written in ASP.NET MVC5, and now we are moving to .NET Core 8 version and front-end Nest.js 14. So first I will show everyone what is Strangler fig pattern. The pattern is basically migrate the old code base step by step to modern technology. So yeah, in the picture, I'm showing that first it's a large legacy application. Early stage, we move some part, then step by step, the old code base is very little, and then the all the things move to the modern. And finally, we remove fully our old code base and migrate to our new system. But this part is very challenging for migration process, and this step I will step by step briefing today. So when I start this application migration, that time I doesn't know the name of the pattern. When working for a long days, then I found that the Martin Fowler previously developed a pattern that is the Strangler Fink pattern. He also implement this feature in a financial institute in Australia. And the picture is right side is showing there a large tree first present there, then step by step it migrated, then fully it replaced. So when we start our journey in Bookup application, so client meeting, we found that they show us a application which is written in jQuery and ASP.NET MVC5. And from the 2010, they doesn't change any of the library. So all the library are outdated and not replaced. When we change any of the library, it cases several problem. So then we figure out their requirement is only remove the jQuery and replace with the React.js. Then I have done several meeting with the team. That is, it's not possible. That is not possible in the scenario because the React.js pattern and the jQuery, they are different pattern. So I shown him the several way we can migrate. That is their requirement only each page remove the jQuery and replace by the React.js. Is also be possible using the create React tab, but is not feasible solution. Then I showing him the another approach, that is rebuild the full application, but it is too much time consuming and existing application also develop huge development also ongoing that time. Then I showing him that is parallel migrate with our system, but it's very challenging. Previously I haven't done this approach, so I told her I can do it, but give me some times. So then the client agreed to give me 2 weeks to validate the approach and check it's possible or not. Then we start our implementing this application. So firstly, I am showing demo, then we can understand the fully how we can migrate our system. So it's our test environment, test.bookup.no, this application. So now the application, the login process is working in ASP.NET MVC5. So I'm logged in as a user. This application now redirected to our system is a new technology application. This is developed by Next.js and the backend running in the ASP.NET Core 8. But URL is same. Anyone not understand what is happened there. But in the backend, 3 application is running. One for ASP.NET MVC5, ASP.NET MVC5. Another application ASP.NET Core 8, that is the API support. And another is the front end that is run in the Next.js. Next.js 14. So how can we move this part 3 application running parallelly? There is another Azure application gateway is running there. When the URL is B2 web, that time is redirected to user to our new system. And this application getting all the data from the API server, which is running. If I copy the value and wait a bit here. So this is another application running for supporting our backend application. So this way, the 3 application is running parallelly using the approach of the URL. This URL redirection, which URL redirected to the which part is managed by the Azure Application Gateway. And this application using the cookie, because it's not possible for us to migrate full part. We thought we will migrate using the token-based authentication system, but his library is very old. If we migrate the authentication system, that time his existing application not working properly. So when we start the migration, we plan there are different type of role in our application code base. That is, some is a booking application, is a renter, landlord, and another part for the admin. So we first think about the customer who rent several service for our application. So we first thought we move to the renter part in the latest technology. Then we start working the renter part. For working for a 6 to 7 month, we can implement this feature in new technology. Now this application is running smoothly in production. In the 1st of January in 2025, we successfully deploy our application in the production server. So, and when we are developing this feature, we are struggle several scenario for this application. And that is the technology which we use to migrate. First of all, existing application already running system. We develop new backend using .NET Core 8 Web API, Next.js 14 using the renter frontend, and routing management, we use the Azure Application Gateway. So there are different type of scenario you can use to this type of application gateway purpose. NGINX also be applicable. But in ASP.NET MVC5, when firstly we implement the NGINX, but that time cookie sharing, we are facing lots of issue. After that, we remove the NGINX and replace by Azure Application Gateway. And cookie key sharing is very important because in our application, when we are moving to the new system and getting the a user booking related data, that time the backend API decrypt the cookie and get the logged in user information. So that's the reason old application and new backend application both need to be encrypt and decrypt the cookie. For that purpose, we store the cookie in the Redis server, and both of the application can easily encrypt and decrypt the cookie data. So so this way, one part of our application, that is the renter part, fully migrated successfully in the system. It's the first part. We also migrate some other part of our application. That is it's a booking application. For that purpose, lots of email, SMS, notification also sent there. And there is another transaction part in the third-party service. So when any order or any transaction is done, that time APDF need to be sent to the third-party service. So these two part we also migrate. We using the Azure Function app for those purpose, and use the Azure service bus to send the data to our new application. So ASP.NET MVC or old application is a sender, and these two function work as a receiver. So that way we also remove some others part of our application. So what is the technical challenges we are facing that time? The challenging is the cookie sharing. So we have a 3 application running, one for the production, that is bookup.no, our test environment, and QA for our QA environment purpose. First of all, when I showed the demo to the client, that time the cookie sharing is not working. So I'm sharing you something that is why it's not working. When you are developing something in Azure, that time Azure give you a URL, that is the Azure website.net. So in these if you using these website URL, you are not sharing cookie, because Microsoft restricted this website cookie sharing. The reason behind this, when you are developing any application or deploy any application in the Azure cloud, always they given this URL. So if they are open the cookie sharing, that all other application also hampered, and you can enter easily to others application. For that reason, this website cookie sharing is not possible, Azure website.net. So that time I struggle several times why my local environment cookie sharing is working, but when I deploy Azure, it's not working. Then figure out that this website is not possible. Then I added purchase a domain for the test purpose. Then it's working smoothly. Then I show the demo to the client. So it must be remembered, if you are using a cookie sharing feature, this website is not working. Okay, so so this when we enable the cookie sharing and store the key in the Redis, then that time this application is working smoothly. Another challenges we have faced, that is JSON parsing. In our client database, some table, they in the column they store large volume of JSON data, but .NET ASP.NET Core latest version, they use the library text.json. This library, when the encryption done using the old system, when I decrypt the data, that time decryption is not working, because that library they haven't any updated. They used the library version 3.0, but in the meantime now latest version is 17.5 something. So, and it's not possible for us to change the value, because already huge data in the database, and client not interested for changes any value in the database level. So that's the reason we have written some utility code for deserialize and serialize the data for the JSON purpose. After that, it's working smoothly. These two challenges we have faced. And most challenging part in our application is our team has no QA member. So, and how the system is testing, the Norway part, they are huge busy in the multiple project. So when they figure out some time, they start testing. So otherwise, not a single member can test our application. Then we figure out that we in the sprint planning meeting, we fixed out that way, that is, suppose a work needed to 3 hours, we given the work is 5 hours, 2 hours for the testing, and not a particular member who developed the application, who developed that part, the other member can also involve for test this part. So this way we can solve the challenges. And most of the time we are facing issue, that is Norway part, they told us the system is working smoothly, but when we are testing deeply, then found that this part has some issue, and the break the some others part. So that is very challenging for us. But that area, our one member, that is Nadim, is working very fantastic job. Every sprint I gave her some extra time or some task that is for the QA. and he can easily figure out some complex scenario. So that way, Nadim solved our QA related issue, and our project manager now also maintaining some QA related tasks, and both two members are trying to solve our QA related issue. Okay. So which way we can success our application is very challenging for us. That is, what is the main problem of the Bookup application or Procom any other application, the client end? They are each and every developer in Norway end involved in multiple projects. So their initial plan when they discuss for the Bookup application, they told us only remove the React jQuery to React.js and some minor backend development we will support. The main backend part will develop by the main developer of our client side, that is IBM. But after some days later, 1 or 2 months later, we found the several issue. When we knocked to the developer, he is busy some others project. Then I told him, you can give us every day 1 hour. You can describe me only the business logic. I can manage the code. Then we get the full backend development part in Dhaka end. After that, when the development is 80% completed, then I told her we will DevOps part in our application. Then he told me they haven't any DevOps member in their part. So now how they can deploy their application is a very interesting way. They can right click their project using the Visual Studio and click the publish part and deploy the production application. Then I told him it's not possible for our application. So I can need a DevOps member. So he told me it's not possible. Then Dhaka team also manage the DevOps. We are working as a 3 member. 1 member that is Jayed is a fully manage the front end part. Nadim is fully manage the back end, and me also doing some API related tasks, complex API part, and help the Nadim for API development and managing the full DevOps part. And also all the 3 members also manage our QA. So that's the way we can make the project successfully. Otherwise, we will be stuck for a long time for development purpose. Previously, first 3 months we were struggling. We are waiting for some backend changes, but not get the data. And similar situation also the front end. Then all the responsibility we get to in our hand, and we can solve all the issue. And after that, the project is successfully deployed in the production. Okay. So what is the benefit customer get? Previously, the situation is when his existing application, sometimes it very slow down. That time what he did, he go to the Azure cloud and increase their memory or CPU and increase their costing. So some days before, that is when we first deploy our application, he told me his application is not working. So then I told her we can start investigating your application, which part is not working. So he told me not needed. We go to the Azure portal and increase the CPU performance and increase more RAM. Then it's easily solved. Then he can solve this issue. So then I told her it's not a good scenario for your application, because each and every day when a load is increasing, you are increase your resources. So then we deploy our application in the production. Our server is very little server, only $100 we expend both of the new backend and front end application. And he told me why you are getting very little server. I showed him that only 30% utility uses in our server. If you use more than 60%, then we will increase. Then he is very satisfied that your Azure costing is decreased day by day. And in her application, we found that when any of the select queries run, that time more than 30 to 40 query executed that time. Repeated query and select query always get all the column value. That also decrease the performance. So then I told her, you are writing not quality code in your query optimization. So then in our code base, we manage all these optimized query. For that reason, it's working very smooth. Server cost also very low now. And when we release our renter version, that time there are huge call in the support, that is landlords are need this our version their system, but is very time consuming. We are working that particular area. And Procom management also satisfied for the migration process, and they also plan their others application, they be migrate using our this way. This is our product, that is the bookup.no. Okay. So drawback of our application, that is now we are our application fully depend on the session and cookie, and we are not moved to the token based authentication system. It's need time, because when we are moved others part of the application, finally we will move to our authentication system. Because if the problem is, if we move the authentication system now to the in the microservice, that time his old application is not working properly. And this previously I tried my best to migrate there, but need several changes in the database field and also the code base, but he has restriction that is not to change any database value now. So that's the reason we are not moving that part. So we are using the session cookie dependency now. And another problem is log. There is no log written in the old application. So if any issue happened, that time is very difficult to figure out where this happened. So I also written several log his existing application, but is not properly completed because the bookup is a very large application. So it's very challenging. And I also told that insufficient query, their query is not good. That the reason huge costing in the database. And we have one PhD designer who has involved in the multiple project. That the reason we are for getting the design is very time consuming. And the most challenging part is the knowledge. Procom, the main scenario is only a single developer involved in a single project. So all the business logic in one person head. So if he is in the any leave or outside or busy in some others meeting, that time we are fully stuck from where we will get the business knowledge. But our new part, we also written several Confluence page for solve this issue. Our part we have fully documented, but their old system is not fully documented. Okay. So the part we have already completed, the renter service part, we have completed, moved to our new technology. After when now it's a vacation, summer vacation, after when they back, we will start working the booking service. The booking service is the challenging part of our application. This is the booking service. It's now running in a iframe, and the iframe way he has managed this, and this particular area user is facing lots of issue. This page is not responsive. When this website someone's login using the iOS device, this broken several times. So that part will start working after, when they are back from the holiday. Okay. So after that part, when the booking service has completed, we'll start working on the landlord service. There is another part is missing in the slide, that is a seasonal booking. After the landlord service, we will start working on the seasonal booking part. After each and everything is completed, then we will migrate the authentication module to the OAuth2 and token-based authentication system. Then we remove all the session and cookie from our application and move to the fully token-based system. So that's the plan. Okay. And we also migrate another part in our application. This login process. Previously, it's a MVC application. Now the login process we develop using the Nest.js. No,
Sorry,
Beat.js.
it's a white.
Byte.js.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is why we are not moving to the another microservice that is not possible in our scenario. Because if we change to the ASP.NET Core 8 version, that time their existing application not working. Because Microsoft has changes lots of identity property in the database level and their code level. For that scenario, it's not possible for us. That's the reason we implement this feature authentication module using the Byte.js. So what we did, we have another repo. That repo we develop the system and create a bundle file JS and include the bundle file in his application. So that way we have solved the issue. Okay. And some other part. And the login system, they also added some feature that is, suppose you are a Google user, you not need to go to the Google. If you add the Gmail address, suppose my Gmail address, it auto redirected to the Google. Similar situation also happened for the Microsoft Beeps and their bank login scenario. So that's why in some days before, 15 or 20 days before, we have deployed this version in their production server. So why we choose the Byte.js? The main reason is, suppose in future we will migrate our system to the auth microservice. So that way, what we do, we will develop this application again, this pattern, ASP.NET Core 8 and Nest.js 14. So we can easily move our React code using the Nest.js, and we also follow the pattern which we have written in the ASP.NET Core 8 for the API purpose. So this similar pattern we also used in their existing application. So we created several API in their application in ASP.NET MVC 5 application, written API. But API code base, we maintain the ASP.NET Core 8 pattern. So we can easily copy paste our code base when we migrate to the new microservice.
Actually, I can explain there.
Okay.
As for lightweight feature as like authentication service, so it is a small part of the project. So that's why I have used the White React.js project. I have created a repo for it and created the White project, and the build file of the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We have included the build bundle to a MVC view. In a view as a single HTML page. So there we are loading the bundle for this authentication service, and the account/auth, this route is dedicated to only for authentication service, and the view is handling it. And we also rendering the React router after this auth/other parts of the authentication service. So in a single router of MVC, we are loading the React router and the authentication service. So we are using a single view. And by this way, we are benefited as if we migrate to a new authentication service and we want to separate the view from the MVC project, old project. So in that case, we can also deploy the White React.js project independently as a React router. So we have managed this way.
So we haven't any other option to solve this issue, and we think two part. We must need to develop this area using the React, because if we are not managing using the React, that time we need to complete this using the jQuery in his existing application. And in future, we are moving all our system into the React.js. So that's the reason we have using the Byte.js for create the bundle and implement this feature in their production server. And 15 to 20 days before we have deployed, and it's now working smoothly. Clients are happy, and therein the system is working smoothly. They haven't faced any issue of the application. So that's it. And okay. And another challenging part when we are deploying the application, that is the Azure Application Gateway. This managing is very challenging, and there are little resource available there how to manage the Azure Application Gateway. But Azure Application Gateway is very helpful. Using a Azure Application Gateway is costly also. Is $300 minimum cost for per month. But a single Azure Application Gateway, you can manage 5 applications. So now our test and the QA, we are managing one Azure Application Gateway, and Bookup main application. There are 2 others replica, because 2 others municipality also use this same application replica in their premises. So we manage both part of the all 3 production application. We are managing using another Azure Application Gateway, but their setup is very tough. I am showing something about that. There are several setup needed to managing this application. First, you need to backend setting. Backend setting part is basically your all Azure app service you need to integrate. And Azure Application Gateway supports several things. Your all application must be present in Azure is not needed. If your some service present in the others cloud provider, you can also share this information using the URL or IP. And it support all type of application feature. Azure App Service you can include in the VM, or anything you can include with this. So this area backend setting, we are 3 application running. That the reason in that particular area you need to integrate all those application there. After that, front end IP configuration. You need to configure which URL this IP. You need a backend IP, dedicated IP needed to run Azure Application Gateway. You need a listener which request which URL the request will become, and must needed a SSL certificate to include this. And the rule part is the area where you can easily integrate which URL you will redirect your application, which app service. Suppose when any in the URL, if web API is present, we can forward the request to our API application. When the request come to the B2 web, then we redirect it to our new front end application. So this way you can manage, and single Azure Application Gateway, you can manage 5 application. Is the max limit 5. And you need to set up another part, that is the health props. This part is used for managing that within some second in our application. Every 30 seconds we added some route. It ping the request and check that the server is working smoothly or not. If the server is not working, that time it doesn't forward the request that particular area. So these 4 setup you can easily manage Azure Application Gateway. But future, our plan is we remove our Azure Application Gateway when fully migration completed. Then we move to the Nginx server, because Nginx free, and the costing we can easily decrease. So that's the plan, our application. But challenges when we first deploy our application, the main challenge we have faced, that is the not anyone testing our application properly in Norway. Because we are in our application, there are 5 login system. We always use the username, password, and Google and Microsoft login. In when we first deploy our application, that time we haven't be bank access. So they when we told her you check the bank system, they always told us the bank system is working smoothly. But when we deploy the system, we found that the bank system is not working. So that day, we also fixed that issue, because without a dedicated QA member is very challenging for our application. We have told several times for the team, please give us a QA, but they cannot give us any QA member. But now we are not facing any issue QA member, because all the 3 member of Dhaka team, and they are in 3 others member. One is designer, project manager, and main developer. All 6 member, we figure out some time for every sprint. We dedicated some time for the QA, and that time we QA our application. So that's it. And we also give thanks to our Bookup Procom from Builder team. That is the Momit Bhai, Salman, and Washikur Bhai. They also help us a lot when we start the working, because when we think about that, we will migrate our application that particular way. I am not expert for the React.js, and they can help us more. We shared several time idea, this way is good or not, is possible or not. They help lots of time us. And Washi could also help us. That time he is when we start our journey, that time he is the team lead our end, and help us for understanding their thinking and collaboration full team. So that's it for presentation today. If you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you, Taposh Bhai, for your nice presentation. I would like to say something here. Firstly, this is I would say this is the typical Strangler fig pattern, where you take a monolithic application and churn everything and make sure that the microservice thing is actually up and running. And finally, I think those microservices will be the only thing left, not this my monolithic application. I have several questions, Bhai, but due to time constraint, maybe I will ask only 2 or 3. Firstly, like, as you just mentioned, you guys are falling short of a QA, and they are not actually doing the job properly from the knowledge side as well. So how do you manage, at least for this code level, testing? Is it like you maintain unit testing, nutrition testing, and also like how Nadim Bhai is actually, incorporating these like manual testing or something?
Yeah, everyone is done in the manual testing, because some part automation we have unit testing we have written our new application, but the existing code base, client also not interested to write a single line of code his existing application, because it's now a resource heavy application. He's frightened that is if anything is changes, it also hampers some others part of that part area. So we always do the manual testing. So the pattern is, suppose Jahid is working on the login part. He is doing the username, password, login part. When he complete the development, that time before before doing in the PR, so he assign the task some other member. The other team member involved 1 or 2 hours for full test the feature. When that full testing is completed, then the Jahid can create the PR. Then after that, I start testing the application, because there is no any other option available. We cannot write the unit testing his existing application and don't know which area which part is written. After when I have completed the Dhaka part in the testing, then we are moving to the Jira task ready for QA and assign to the Norway member. When they have completed this testing, then we make this task as a done stage. So that's how it's working.
I see. I think there are a lot of challenges. I appreciate your teamwork. It's excellent, actually. Let's move on to the next one. As you just mentioned, bhai, you guys are actually maintaining $100 per month server. So, but as you just mentioned, there are like 3 services up and running out there, right? So, I mean, what is happening? How much cost is actually out there each month?
Okay. Basically, our application 3 app service or web application running. One is for existing application, which test server costing $1,500 server. Otherwise, the server cannot maintain the load. But my both application is using a $100 server, max or $120. I'm showing you. I have the privilege to share the info.
So is it because like not the users are not testing those things? That's the reason why such low costing, or?
Yeah, I also written an alert. If the server is more than 70% uses, then I get an email, then I will update the server. But not a single day I get the server is hit more than 70%. And several times I check the log, I found that on max 30%, 30 to 35% in the rush hour, it will goes. So that's the reason I'm not updated the server. But in the development time, I maintain some tricky way. That is, in that time, our backend team retain the query is not optimized query. That time, I get a server that is only $20. So most of the time, they are very frustrated why the application is running. I always told them write a smooth query. So when all the optimization is completed, when first day we deploy out the test server, that time I increase the server. So and is there now it's a they are always maintaining the code base, the optimized query. That the reason the server is very low costing server is managing all the application.
That's great.